As the world was coming out of the pandemic in January 2022, I found myself in a very difficult spot. I was in a new country, a new city, and in a new culture, and I had absolutely no friends. On top of that, I was struggling very much with my mental health, and thanks to a book called The Lost Connections by Johan Hari, I came to realize that I need friends. Good friends, not just people to party with, if I am to have any chance at solving my mental health challenges. From that point, I set myself on a path to build meaningful connections, and a lot has happened since then. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. This is Overcoming Yourself. I'm Saad, and in this episode, I'm gonna share with you 3 lessons that I have learned building myself a social life from the ground up. Well, I'll be honest with you. It took me a while to realize how important curiosity is in meeting people. You know that feeling when it's Friday night, it's the end of the week, you have worked all week, you're kind of stressed out and tired, and you just want to de-stress, and the thought of putting yourself out there and meeting new people just seems like a lot of work. Work that you probably don't want to do after your long week. Well, that is a thought that has kept me from putting myself out there and meeting new people for a long time. And I found curiosity to be a vital piece in tackling that. Because when we are curious, we are just interested. We take an interest in other people. We, instead of seeing it as work, now we are excited. We want to learn more about this person and people in general. Especially if you are if you live in a multicultural city, there are people that you probably cross paths with on a daily basis that come from wildly different backgrounds than yours, and has got all sorts of interesting stories that has led them to the point in their lives that they are in right now. As I kept cultivating curiosity, I found myself more and more fascinated by their stories, and that took a lot of pressure off of me. And it also has the added benefit that now you don't have to, you can kind of sit back and listen to people. Of course, you have to contribute in the conversation, but it becomes more of a process of exploration than it is a chore. Yeah, another beautiful side effect of curiosity is that it lets you get out of your head. Ever heard of that thing called social anxiety? You know, like when we think the world revolves around us and we're stressing in our heads as to like how people are perceiving us and what's the quote unquote next right thing to say, or what can we do or say at this moment to impress people? That whole narrative creates a lot of pressure. Now, when you're curious, your attention is directed outwards, and you are not running a storyline in your head as to who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to appear. So you're kind of like flowing in the moment. So it all becomes effortless and very pleasurable. Like you tap into flow, you are talking to people, having a good time, taking an interest, and it just feels pleasant, which is and if you contrast that with something like social anxiety, which is what a lot of my experience was when I first started on this journey, it's day and night. It's just like one is being just miserable in your head, constantly shoulder checking, constantly reevaluating what is it that you're doing or saying and how you're being perceived. And the other is just pure flow and joy. Granted that it takes some time and effort to practice and work your way up to that point, but I promise you, if you ingrain that as a mindset, it will do wonders. As I slowly started breaking out of my social anxiety and kept being more curious and brought more presence into my social interactions, I realized that more and more people were interested in connecting with me in different social situations. And when I think about it in retrospect, it just makes sense. Because think about it, who would you rather talk to? Someone who takes a genuine interest in you and actually asks questions meaningful questions and cares about your experience and then relates to that versus someone who is barely interested. You can see this person being kind of socially anxious, kind of edgy, and being in their heads. Because we human beings, we pick up on the subtlest of signals, and when someone is not really present or doesn't want to be there, we can just sense that. And it's not ideal. We just don't want to associate with that and naturally gravitate towards people who are more present and who takes an active interest in us. And curiosity has helped me immensely with that. If you're a socially introverted person by nature, you probably have had this experience. You asked one of your cooler friends, cooler in terms of social situations, how are you so comfortable in there? Or do you have any tips? And they respond by saying, just be yourself, man. And till this day, I find that piece of advice largely unhelpful, but I would say it has started making sense to me on some level. The thing is, socializing is what Simon Sinek would call an infinite game. So, an infinite game is a game where all the parties involved are playing the game to keep the game going. There are no winners or losers. The whole point is to keep the show going on, and the only way people quote unquote lose is by dropping out, which is generally due to a lack of resources. So, and that happens with socializing is when we're exhausted. Our proverbial social batteries are drained out and we don't want to participate in it anymore. What I've found for myself is if I am not being authentic to my energy, and I do want to highlight that, not in terms of what you want to say, but in terms of your energy, I just find myself drained out. Then I start hating interactions and I would check out and maybe not show up even for weeks. And that is generally not a good idea because social isolations happen from there, which is not great, at least for me and my mental health. Yeah, to elaborate on that a little bit, I'm a low energy person, and if I am showing up with higher energy than I'm feeling on that particular day, or I am trying to keep a conversation going when it's not naturally flowing, basically if I am trying too hard, I oftentimes end up feeling exhausted and checked out. So I started taking notice of that and started experimenting with a new idea, which was to just, on days when I feel particularly low energy, I would just show up, whether it's a party or it's a social event, and just be amongst people and just exchange smiles, maybe say hello to a few people. I have found that even those minor exchanges and just being there in the energy of the room and in the energy of people who are happy and upbeat to be there, even that helps a lot rather than holding myself in my apartment. So, long story short, I have learned to notice where I am at on that particular day and adjust accordingly. If I'm feeling great, if I'm feeling very social, very energized, yeah, I'm all high energy. And if I'm not, no big deal. I can just be amongst people and enjoy their presence. I actually used to judge small talk quite a bit. I had a lot of negative associations about it. It seems superficial, shallow, and a waste of time. It just didn't make any sense. Like, why would I start a conversation with someone out of nowhere? Someone who I don't share any context with. But as I kept engaging in more and more conversations, I noticed something interesting. Oftentimes people appreciate it a lot, and it just makes their day. And that made me feel very good, being able to make people feel good and seen, and in turn being seen. Yeah, it just felt good. I remember this one particular time I was at a coffee shop, and as I was about to order my coffee, the barista was like, "Hey, what can I get for you?" And I was feeling particularly social that day, very socially bold, which is usually not the case. I'm still a shy person. I get into my head from time to time. But anyways, he was asking me what he can do for me, and I responded saying, "First tell me, how is your day going?" There was a little pause. He looked at me. A huge smile broke into his face. He was like, "Yeah, it's going pretty well." He just told me a little bit about his day, and then thanked me for asking. And there's this glow on his face that can be rare. Having that interaction with him, it just felt good. So, and we continued the conversation. We talked a little bit about how he started working there, and how does he like it. He asked me about it, like about what do I do for work. So, and then we went on our business. I ordered my coffee, and we both went on about our day. But the conversation felt good. It's not like I got anything out of it, but the idea is, as you engage more and more people, you realize that it just feels good. There's something about being seen and having these tiny little exchanges with strangers, like exchanging greetings or saying hello or good morning, or these little conversations. That has an impact on our mental well-being. And it's just, I haven't looked into the neuroscience of it. Maybe I'll do another video on this channel about that at some point. But for me, it makes me feel good. And the city started feeling more and more like a home. As I kept frequenting places and I kept seeing the same faces over and over again, it just felt like, yeah, this is where I live now. This is home. And there was this sense of familiarity and belonging that I was very much struggling with before, during the pandemic and as we are coming out of it. So over time, I've grown a lot of appreciation for small talk. It is literally this, how do you say it? This extremely potent tool that can help you create connections out of nowhere. Hey guys, congratulations on making it to the end of the video. I appreciate you being here in my little corner of YouTube. If you have any thoughts, make sure to leave them in the comment section, and see you next time.